the first part materials. When you're working with the parts that you've machined really small, they fall out all the time, and you have to take them in, take them apart, put them back together so often that you need a tray to keep the stuff in. Your stock will be made out of some type of wood. In this case, we're using oak. It's got kind of some pretty figures in it. Roughly about 3 inches thick. And gives you a little bit of room for carving when it's all done. Now, what's more important is how thick it is. Our latch will be about 1.25 inches thick. Now, the length can be pretty much anything you're willing to go and cut it to. Here's our typical crossbow. As you can see, it's roughly about 28 inches long for the stock. Let's see. The next part I wanted to talk about is how our lock is being built. There is where the string attaches, and right now the trigger's not set. But I like how it always automatically goes back into the reset position. This piece here, this is your lock. That's your safety. This is your sight. And I don't know if you can see it on here very well, but for the massive arrows that we were using, you can see 2 little marks on the sight that you help line up with the bow limb or the arrow point and shoot. Alright, and there is the trigger on the bottom. I didn't make a metal cover for the trigger. Probably should, but you know, it's not critical. Yeah, you can carve it and decorate it all kinds of ways. This is a fiberglass prod. Don't mind where I chipped the paint. The prod for about 30 bucks comes with the string, and it's pretty much ready to install on any of these little crossbows. They call it a 150-pound bow, but at our draw length, we're only 70 pounds to here. And the funny thing is that the bow isn't rated to go much further than there to begin with. You need some kind of a mechanism on the end that holds the bow onto the stock. There's a lot of different ways to do it. Every time I do this, I do it a different way, so there's no real rules. For you guys who are combat archers, turns out that these numbers from here to there, it's actually pulling 6.5 inches at 70 pounds, which brings you well within your 600-pound limit for fiberglass shafts. For the rest of you who don't have any idea what I just said, don't worry about it. Here is the same model of bow, just, you know, decorated differently. This is my new target bow, or crossbow. It has a couple of different aspects to it. One, if I can show you. Oh my goodness. Alright, so we're using a youth fiberglass bow as the limb. Now, it gives you a lot more draw length. So you see the stock is really long. And but it's a much lower poundage. It's only like 25 pounds at 24 inches or something way back here. So I didn't review my work when I designed those other pieces, but I do like you know, this new lock mechanism. It's prettier, it's more durable. How do you like this sight? No, I don't really sight from way up here. Rick actually sight way down here somewhere. But it's cool. Once again, there's some fancy metal engraving there, bluing. These are all, oh, this is that same oak that I'm going to use on the glass. So you can't see the figuring here, but if you had a more of a plain stock, you'd see more of the figuring. And this one, it's upside down, but it's a dragon. You can see his eye and his mouth. It comes back here into a wing pattern and carries out to the stock. Some of the other points is that you can see the rail is all steel. And we fancied up the top of it a little bit. Okay, this is our lock mechanism. Your string goes up here. This is your trigger. It will pull forward. There's a little tab on the bottom so it doesn't go too far. And then when it's loaded, the trigger catches on the bottom when you hit the trigger. Yeah, you drop everything. Oops, the lock is on. Alright, this is the safety over here. I'm going to roll it around so you can see how that sets up. Can you see that? So there's a half a knot, a lock knot, and then we cut away on the back side of the trigger so that it can move just past the knot. That's in the fire position. That's in the lock position. We have to lay out our piece of metal. What have we got? That's a inch by ½ inch. So we're going to measure the first mark in about, let's see. Inch and a half? I think it's 1.5 inches or 2.5 inches. Let's say 2 inches. 2 inches? Yeah. It's really critical. All right. Now the lock part, the one that flips up and down, we're going to come in about 1.5 inches. It could be a little longer, but 1.5 inches is good. All right, so we need, I like to have a little extra space down here on the end. So this should be 2.5 inches, right? Yeah, 2.5 inches. Is this a... Let's see what we've done. We have a piece of steel that's roughly 5 or 6 inches long. Not too critical. Okay. Right. In the first space, and take your little metal ruler and make this square. So, you know, line the edge up and get that a nice square line all the way across. You know, you could. Okay, so we have this thing in the vise, and we're going to make our first cuts. This one here, which is going to be going towards the rear, of roughly 45 degrees. It could be 30, it could be 50, just kind of like that. You don't have to mark our recording. Okay, so now you put that into the vise, and we put it at an angle, and now you're going to try to keep the blade straight and keep the blade on top. You don't cut this way into it, you kind of cut down. Yeah, all right, and keep the tool straight. And this is tight. Okay, it's good and tight. Go ahead. It's a lock. Push it all the way forward. All right, now we have pieces that have been cut and they've got sharp edges. This is a flap disc. It doesn't leave very many marks and it removes quite well. So you're going to go all around these edges and knock off the burrs. I don't want to hold this and maybe get a splinter or a cut. And while you're working with it, you don't want it to get that either. The tape is going to come off. So you try peeling that off first, get all you can. And then we'll show you where to grind to get it ready. Okay, so let's see what we've done. We needed to grind along the bottom, along the top, to get that scale off. Now it'll weld better. Set your pieces in order. So we have the back, we have the front, And this is, oh, you didn't, this
Oh, was I supposed to grind that down?
yeah, let's clean it up so we can handle it. All right. So we've aligned our pieces. This is the front and this is the back. This is our inch or ½ inch by 1/8 inch, and we are going to basically lay a piece here, cut it off, one for each side. Then we'll be ready to weld them together. All right, put some clamps on it. Get it all lined up. Now you weld here, and here, and here, and here. Here, 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 and here. Flip it over, do it again. Okay, so there's our spot welds on the top and the bottom. Now take that little middle piece out. Try to use pliers, it's going to be hot. It should tap right out. Turn it sideways. Oh yeah, show the other end. Just the other. Alright, so that's what we're doing. We're going to cut a little ear on the end.